Thank you guys all for coming out. It means a lot. We're really excited about this event. We've got a lot of fun things planned. And most importantly, this is the beginning of our Basic Needs Summer Speaker Series. And what made all of this happen was a lot of people. Some of you guys are new to the Ecology Center, and a lot of familiar faces as well. But let me just give some thanks before we move on. I'd like to thank Betsy Parker. Thank you for making this happen. Betsy's a close friend of ours and part of the Nike Hurley family, and reached out to her about a year ago or 6 months ago and said, hey, let's create a speaker series and I need your help. And she said, I got the perfect person for you. So in that note, condolences to Tinker Hatfield. Some of you guys thought that he was going to come, and a couple of days ago got an email from his family emergency, so he came. Wasn't able to make it, he's in Oklahoma, but we have an amazing Mark Smith here tonight, and just thank you. Exactly, we have the perfect person. It was always meant to be. I'd also like to recognize our board of directors, a couple people. Christina, I'd like to say thank you to you. You're on our board. Max Isles is here. My mom's part of our board as well. Anyone else? I hope I didn't miss anyone. But it's a group that works behind the scenes, that does a lot of the infrastructure, the invisible structures that you don't see. You see a lot of the gardens, but you don't get the organizational structure, and that's that group. And my staff, a couple members are here, Trisha, my father, David, Ryan, and then of course my mom again, who does countless things here. I'd like to thank our sponsors, Hurley, of course, Whole Foods Market, Sambazon, Vita Coco, Guayaquil, Coco Cafe, and Good Magazine. Thank you all. This is our third annual Summer Speaker Series, so that kind of marks the age of our organization. So we're a young one. I'd like to introduce Mark Smith. We don't have too much time, but Mark is he's already a good friend of mine, and we only met an hour ago. We'll stay good friends for, I'm sure, a very long time. He's that great of a guy, and he's the global creative director for the Jordan brand. He's a 20-year Nike creative veteran, and has a lot of really inspirational things coming up in the future, and he's going to inspire us for sure tonight. So if you guys give a warm welcome and an applause to thank you.
No pressure, no pressure, no pressure. Well, first, thanks for letting me be a shallow second to Tinker, who's infinitely more impressive, I say, because he's infinitely more experienced and infinitely older, which I like to say. So anyway, thanks for including me in this. This is a wonderful property, and what a cool group of people, and thanks for the opportunity. I have no idea what we're going to talk about tonight, other than some inspirational stuff, like how we kind of think about stuff. Good shoes, number one. Nice work. And then also start with a few stories that kind of just to level set how I got here on the stage this moment under the sun, that I blame Betsy for not making appear today. Level setting. So I grew up around the world, and I usually just tell a little bit about myself first, and then you guys just ask all you want. And at any time when it's boring and you're starting to nod off, just go ahead and feel free to tell me to say something else. I'm happy to do that. I grew up all around the world and ended up in San Diego, which I called home, and ended up really learning my spot in this universe through Boy Scouts. A lot of camping and learning how to exist on the planet and with each other, and leadership skills. And there's a story about going to the Grand Canyon when we were camping there and meeting the Havasupai natives. Great experience learning about the earth and you know, the lore and the culture, and really getting to know the culture through scouting and through the American way, but then the dynamics and the duality of, you know, the American way through natives, which is very interesting and a hard way to learn, but great and thankful. And one night I was in a cave on the side of a hill in the bottom of the canyon, experiencing a culture, and zoomed completely out and realized where we are just part of this moment here in the bigger picture, and have always carried that with me no matter where I am or what I do. And so then if you cut that in half and say, okay, but you've designed shoes, and it's incredibly bizarre use of materials for moments at a time, and I like to say it's for athletes, and that's what it is. We design them for athletes, but a lot of people use them for a lot of different things, and the place in space for those is very interesting when you balance them against each other. And so as an artist, and learned about Betsy as my sister that I never had as an artist many years ago, balancing those two is a lifelong effort. So how do you create soulful things, and then how do you keep creating other soulful things that kind of conflict with each other? I do it with heart. I think the heart is the thing that keeps us all connected, and for me that's being honest and being authentic with the goal. And what we do is we work with athletes, and the goal of an athlete is to go from here to there quicker than anybody else, or score more things through a net or a hoop or a thing. And they do that with heart, and they do it authentically, because competition is at the core of, I think, human endeavor. It makes us unique to the time and space that we're here. When I look around here, I think, wow, what a cool thing. I heard a couple of years ago this was an empty lot, and somebody with heart and soul and passion came in and said, let's inform and let's be honest and authentic about how we can make a little bit of a difference a lot. And I think that's kind of where I'm going to start. When you think about making products in the world that we make them, there's an incredible amount of material and effort and water and electricity and human and everything it takes to create just one of these things, and then all of a sudden you're proliferating the world with millions of them. And there was a project that really changed my perspective on it after not really thinking about it that much. I mean, it really wasn't top of mind. It was like, let's build these shoes, let's build this apparel, and let's make a difference for athletes. And then there was one project in particular, and it had the number 23 attached to it. And I've had a long and storied career as a background guy behind the Michael Jordan, who, the 23 is attached to that. And the ability for him to make changes globally, transcend his sport and become a change agent within culture and all that was incredible. But to be involved in this number 23, very interesting stories around the numbers and the way 2 and 3 look next to each other, and 2 times 3 is 6, and he won 6 rings, and I'm diverging into this number thing that'll continue to happen. Anyway, 23. The number 23 came up in the Jordan 23, the 23 shoe, which is kind of like the beginning, the end, and everything wrapped. It's the sun. It's like, the 23rd Jordan. It's pretty incredible to be involved in that. And when Tinker, who was going to be here and is infinitely more interesting and infinitely more experienced, came to me and said, let's do something that hasn't been done before again. And we said, let's change the perception of what performance shoes are. And let's do it, not because it's the thing to do and highlight it as the difference between this shoe and the ones that he's wearing and the other ones that are around, because every one of them brought something new and different. What it was really was, he said, let's make it the most considered in our world. We call it considered. It's the use of materials and the thoughtful way of making something better by using less, and it's sustainable. It's in the world of sustainability. And so let's change the paradigm again. I was like, okay, cool. Let's just do that. That'll be fun. And so what we did was we looked at performance. It's got to work for basketball players, and it's got to perform and fit well, and it has to get somebody from here to there comfortably and not hurt them. But the opportunity and the challenge was to do it in a way that had never been done before, which was take this. And I say these things, and I'll go back into another story here in a second. I say granola eating, tree hugging, brown, great, comfortable life, world, earth shoes, that everybody considered to be considered and to be sustainable, and flip it and say, now that is appropriate for the athletic world. So before that, my experience coming out of the cave on the side of the Grand Canyon, cut to many years later, my wife comes out of the house that we live in. It's a nice old house. I love this place, by the way. This is much older than the house I'm in. And it's in the middle of a rainstorm. She's been looking for me. And there are these, Betsy's been there. Everybody, Betsy Parker. That's my sister that I never had. There are these 3 huge trees. They're these huge, 120, 30-foot, probably 100-year-old trees. And they're clustered. There's 3 of them, and they're bigger around than I can even hope to grab. And I'm out there in the middle of this storm, and I'm between these 3 trees, and I'm kind of tree hugging. I believe in energy, and you touch the right thing, and it kind of sends vibrations, and it's all connected to the earth. And if you stand right in the middle of those 3 trees, which is out in the middle of the open, right in front of our house, and I believe these trees protect us because we're little ants compared to how they are. They've been here longer than we'll ever be. And I'm standing there hugging this tree. This feels good. But I'm completely dry, and it's sheltering me from this massive storm. It's really great, but I feel these things moving around. So I'm a certified tree hugger and freak. I absolutely am. So I commune and connect with the earth. That was a commercial break. Now I'm back to the story about the shoes. The shoes, Tinker said, is let's use less water, and let's use less glue, and let's use the right leathers, and let's not just use less, but let's just set the bar at the highest level that any performance product has ever been. Okay, that sounds great. Let's get a team together and find out what those materials are. And we scoured, and we got the best people around that we had access to, and we found out the right vendors and the right materials, and a lot of it was just like, wow, it was unfinished stuff, and it didn't look beautiful, and I like that. As an artist, I kind of look at stuff that you wouldn't normally pick up off the thing and use. And we started making things and saying, how do we mold things without the standard molding, and how do we stitch things together without standard stitching, and improve the process, and improve it by massive increments. And it was a journey, a big, long journey that allowed us to invent machine. We actually had a machine make a machine, which was a pretty cool experience. We need a machine to reach inside the shoe and stitch it all the way around. And that machine didn't exist in our world. I'm sure they exist elsewhere, but we didn't have that. So we said, let's go to the factory and figure that out. And the process was using really smart people who do that stuff. And we're going, yeah, let's just make a machine. And people were going, well, you have to build a machine to build the machine. I was like, that's pretty cool. Okay, cool. It's expensive, but all along the way, you realize you're doing something that's never been done before, and that kind of comes back to this, which is coming into a neighborhood and an environment and community this hasn't been done before, and we're sitting here and chatting. At least I'm chatting. I can't wait till you guys talk. But it's doing something that hasn't been done before, and having the nerve, I guess, and the compulsion. I think a compulsion is probably the best way to describe it. Tinker's pretty compulsive and impulsive, and he's a great one to follow because he just says, let's go. Let's just go. He's fearless. And everybody galvanizes around that. So I think you're in good hands here with Evan and team. Everybody, because it's a team. It's all about team.